Mr. Popоски, good afternoon from Athens.
Good afternoon.
Let me get your first reaction on this decision today.
I think it has been a very important ruling from the ICJ, which has concluded basically that our membership to NATO has been obstructed due to Greece's opposition at the Bucharest summit in 2008. But I think what is even more important than that, it has offered us an opportunity to refocus on our common strategic goals and objectives, which are directed into our membership into NATO and the European Union. So I believe that the indications that this court ruling has given us provides quite solid basis to avoid the reproduction of such situations in the future and refocus on basically what brings us together.
But Mr. Minister, let me be clear, because I read the decision quite carefully. And it's very clear that even though the decision says that Greece was wrong to exercise a veto in Bucharest, it says that it will not force Greece not to exercise another veto in another international organization. I think the decision is very clear, that leaves it up to Greece to decide, according to its interest and strategic assessment, at that point.
I think what has been extremely important, and on that one the court has been extremely clear, is that there is no need to give directions on future Greece's behavior in this respect. What has the court concluded is that this behavior was unlawful from the perspective of application of the international law and the interim agreement that is in force. So in these terms, what the decision of the court has concluded is that it should not be presumed that Greece will again breach basically the principles of the interim agreement by again objecting.
Let me just focus on one issue, because it's important. Even the people who are very sort of moderate on this issue in Greece, they've been outraged, in my opinion, rightly so, by the fact that, before Bucharest, there was a very clear irredentist behavior from your government in terms of naming your airport after, Alexander the Great, having the statue erected and all these things. Whereas it's very clear in the interim agreement that, your government should really abstain from this kind of provocation.
The court's ruling has been quite clear on that side as well, because it has rejected basically the allegations on this basis from the Greek side. And their overall conclusion was that none of the actions or the acts has been an element to justify the Greek opposition to our membership.
May I also make a comment? I think that you are right in saying that today's decision pointed out that Greece has obstructed in some ways your entering NATO. But Mr. Minister, that there have been 3 decisions of NATO, and all of them were unanimous, and all of them said that you have to solve the name issue before entering NATO. And may I say that I don't think that anything will change today, because we had at the time, you were not the minister, but I think you were there when we discussed it. You had more than 4 or 5 countries, if I remember well, stating that what we need is the solving of the name issue before entering NATO or before entering the European Union. And I don't think this will change after the decision today. So what I believe we should do is really try to persuade your government to honestly try to find a solution to the name issue, because until now, nothing has happened.
The efforts of our government basically to be fully engaged and committed in finding a lasting solution on the difference that opposes both of our countries has been also recognized by the court ruling today. So this is definitely not a factor that would have been affected by these circumstances. And I would feel comfortable today to repeat that Macedonia will remain definitely fully committed and engaged in this process of finding a mutually acceptable and lasting solution.
Mr. Minister, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.